Unlocking Academic English Vocabulary, 10 Tips for Studying Vocabulary. Introduction. Welcome to Unlocking Academic Vocabulary. This is a lesson series dedicated to assisting learners who require academic English. If you are an English learner engaged in self-learning to prepare for various English exams, for example, IELTS and TOEFL, and feel overwhelmed by the high volume of unknown and complicated words found in academic texts, this lesson series is intended for you. Today, we will be learning about 10 useful strategies and study habits you can use when learning vocabulary. For more, go to www.practicalenglishwithdarcy.blogspot.com. Tip 1. Follow a course book. It should be very obvious, yet it can be overlooked by language students who are taking courses at school. Using additional course books for self-study will allow you to learn what you want and need at your own pace. When we combine sources of information together, for example, course books, apps, websites, etc., we are able to get a more well-rounded understanding of the material. Look for course books that are graded, that is, follow a comprehensive path from beginner to advanced containing exercises and answers. Tip 2. Practice active learning. Active learning means engaging more with the learning material. If you are reading texts, use a highlighter pen to highlight key information. Use post-it notes as bookmarks and convenient places to make annotations. Pay attention to the information presented in the table of contents. Go over the information in the book appendices. Preview and review each chapter's introduction and summary information before and after reading the chapter. Engaging with your study material in this way is like leaving a record of what you were thinking about during your study, which may be useful at a later time when you need to retrieve the information quickly. This will become increasingly important as you approach the upper intermediate levels of your language study, when you will need to be learning more in less time. Tip 3. Use a notebook. When you sit down to have a class or a studying session, keep a notebook handy to record any new words you encounter. Write down the words you learn as a simple list. Organize your notebook chronologically, that is, write down the date. Review your notes at regular intervals, that is, go back to previously dated lists and read through your notes. This will help you keep what you've learned in memory. Tip 4. Make word lists. In a separate section of your notebook, set aside pages to make topical lists. One recommendation is to make a section for nouns, then make separate lists for noun categories, for example, nouns for clothing, nouns for foods and eating, nouns for items found in the home, etc. Make another section for other grammar words, that is, a section on verbs, categorized by regular verbs and irregular verbs. Many verbs require prepositions, that is, phrasal verbs, to convey different meanings. For example, look at tends to mean to look at an object. Look out is often used as a warning. Look up means to search for or make reference to something. When making lists of adjectives, you can consider making lists of what the adjectives describe, for example, size, color, quality, etc. Are the adjectives used positively or negatively? Do you know the adjective's opposite? In addition to making topical and chronological lists of words, you may also want to organize certain lists alphabetically. Being able to sort words alphabetically in your mind is a tried and tested technique used by learners to memorize a word's spelling. The more you organize the information you are learning into meaningful categories, the easier it will be to find that information if and when you need it. The work involved in the process of making lists will also help in integrating your newly learned words into your long-term memory.
Tip 5. Make mind maps. In addition to note-taking and list-making, mind mapping is another form of creatively organizing information visually. The great benefit of mind mapping over note-taking is that there are no rules. Mind mapping is an exercise in free association, where one idea can connect to another. As your mind map grows, it can depict a complex and beautiful picture that can serve as a source of inspiration for you during your study. Another word for association is collocation. Collocates are words that are closely associated with other words, for example, kitchen and cooking. Since cooking is the activity that takes place in the kitchen, we can say that they are closely collocated or associated. Synonyms, by contrast, are different words of a similar meaning. For example, dinner and supper are synonyms for an evening meal. Tip 6. Use an electronic translator and bilingual dictionary. In recent years, electronic dictionaries and translation apps have been improved tremendously. Modern-day translators found in smartphones are able to read text, recognize text found in photos, and even speak the translation with the synthesized voices. Tip 7. Use an electronic monolingual dictionary. In addition to using a bilingual dictionary, a monolingual learner's dictionary or dictionary and thesaurus can offer a wealth of more detailed information including derivatives, synonyms, antonyms, grammar usage, word etymology and example sentences. The Oxford English Dictionary, published by Oxford University Press, is considered to be one of the most respected dictionaries by many, and it is well implemented and supported in electronic formats. Other electronic dictionaries worthy of mention are wordweb.com and thefreedictionary.com. Both of these companies have excellent websites and apps for iOS and Android. Tip 8. Take detailed notes. Certain words are rich in meaning. When you record a new word, you may want to reserve some space in your notebook for information about the word, including the following: translation, definition, grammar usage, synonyms and antonyms, root word, derivatives, etc. Tip 9. Use flashcards and other learning apps. With your lists and notes prepared, you can now convert your notes into flashcards. A typical flashcard would contain the word on one side of the card. On the reverse side is where you would have your reference notes. The purpose of using flashcards is to test your memory of the word after you've initially learned it. You need to repeat the memorization process several times. Flashcards can be reviewed at regular intervals to keep the information in mind and reviewed repeatedly to help you remember what you learned previously. You may also be able to download card decks made by other users or language learning companies. There are also a variety of flashcard apps and learning services available for your mobile device and computer. Some personal recommendations that can be found in the Apple App Store or on the web include Duolingo and Rosetta Stone. Tip 10. Notice patterns. Modern English is confusing for learners because it is a language that has evolved over centuries and it has been influenced by various other languages. This is the main reason why we find differences in spelling, differences in the pronunciation of certain digraphs, and layers upon layers of meaning. As we can see in this chart, the significant amounts of English words are in fact inherited from separate languages, predominantly French, Latin and Germanic. It's important to keep this in mind. When learning about words, we can look to the word etymology to see how the root word is connected to other words. In this course, we will be learning a lot more about etymology, which is the study of the history of words, and morphology, which is the study of the structure of words and how they can change.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this, please remember to follow this channel. Help us grow to reach more audiences by liking the video and sharing it. If you would like to become a VIP member, or you are interested in having a free consultation, write to us, or go to www.practicalenglishwithdarcy.blogspot.com for more.